Um, so let's turn to, speaking of justice, January 6th, you tweeted, that's called a crime. Representative Cheney said it is absolutely clear that what Trump was doing was unlawful. You also said of the DOJ confirming they are investigating the 15 boxes of classified material that Trump stole, borrowed. I don't. Anyway, you said planning, nice, doing better. Justice Department plans to investigate Trump's 15 boxes of records from Mar-a-Lago. So, Frank, we were saying there's a development an hour, and I know there's all our attention's been on the shooting in Brooklyn, but we were talking about this conference call that Roger Stone aide. I mean, I'm not a former FBI agent like you, but it just feels like the net is tightening on January 6th and tying all of these people. Roger Stone and Ali Alexander who's this? Proud, he's cooperating. I mean, where do you feel like we are in January 6th investigation going up to the top?
So you're right. There's been some significant news, and the biggest news in the last week or so has been the realization that there is a federal grand jury sitting on this in Washington D.C. That is a revelation. People who have followed me on Twitter or watched me on TV have said, look, they've heard me say, calm down. I think they're on this. And now we know they are, and they've called significant subjects. And Ali Alexander has said, yeah, I got subpoenaed to this grand jury and I will cooperate. Well, we'll see what that looks like, but I'm really encouraged by that. Now, on the downside, I think it's going too slow. There is a sense of urgency here to this as we approach the midterm elections. And I know DOJ shouldn't make any moves because of politics, or is not perceiving DOJ as credible right now, and that's going to be a problem as we enter the midterms and may not believe the outcome of the election. This latest information regarding the associate of Roger Stone in contact with Proud Boys, coupled with news in the last 24 hours that a court filing has been made in the case against the Proud Boy leaders, that, quote, a prosecutor says to the judge, we need a little time out. Things are, quote, getting very complicated. I think we're going to see Stone in the middle of this. I think we're going to see cross coordination across Proud Boys, 3%ers, and Oath Keepers. And I think that we may see these radical group members flip on people like Roger Stone.
Yeah. And I do think it's key that we televise and, tell the American people what happened on January 6th. But I'm, of the belief that as much pressure needs to be brought on the DOJ as possible, including a criminal referral from Congress. But let me just get your friend, Joyce Vance, said a referral from Congress to DOJ isn't a panacea. The committee's job is to tell the American people what they've learned in the most compelling way possible. A referral won't influence DOJ, but could be offered to a jury as evidence of any prosecution is political. While it's true Trump will cry witch hunt no matter what, a formal referral could be admissible evidence. No need to risk it. Need look no further. Qualification can be in cases like this. Where do you come down?
I know there seems to. So first, I have the utmost respect for Joyce Vance, and we appear together all the time. I think there's a middle ground here. I know there's a lot of hand wringing, at least by those of us who are talking heads on TV about whether there should be a criminal referral or not. Here's the thing. I think there's a middle ground. I think there's an incredible body of evidence that the Select Committee has. Hundreds of interviews, amazing findings, needs to go in a package to DOJ, but I think it needs to go minus the last paragraph that says, this guy's a criminal, we think you should prosecute. Leave that out. You got the evidence, package it up, let it go. It's not technically a referral at that point. It's, here's what we did, knock yourself out. Okay. I think that's the way it should go.
Yeah. I mean, because that's my take, is how do you see this much evidence and go, oh, but we're not going to say it because that would be rude.
Yeah.
And it might seem political. That's
right. Yeah. There's no time, being polite right now, we're way beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't want to be rude. And by the way, your tweet, what's more dangerous, a paranoid Putin or 150 disloyal FSB officers who want him gone? 150 Russian officers accused of leaks as Kremlin gears up for a massive final offensive in Donbass. Man, that would I sure hope. I mean, I don't know how else this ends, but that's an interesting thought that he is taking down Russia. I mean, he is succeeding, and it looks like all these other countries are now going to join NATO. The exact opposite of what he it seems to have intended is happening.
Well, imagine that you decide 150 of the top people, the most sensitive positions around you can't be trusted, and you fire them or have them under house arrest because you're that paranoid. And by the way, it's quite likely that some of those 150 are indeed working for the West. And as I continue to talk to experts who have their hand on the pulse of the intel on this, I think it's a very real scenario that Putin gets done in by those around him who are just fed up with this.
Yeah. And finally, real quick, you said, I know Steve Dettelbach, is that his name? If confirmed as ATF director, he will counter gun violence because he did it as U.S. attorney in Northern Ohio when I was FBI chief there. So that would be, might be a silver lining or, in the whole fight against gun violence that we're in the midst of again, right?
Stephanie, the ATF has not had a director, think about this, for 7 goddarn years. Imagine the gun violence problem we have, and the agency responsible for countering it doesn't have a boss for 7 years. Why? Because politicians in Congress on both sides can't agree on nominees from Trump or Biden. So we got to get this position filled. I happen to have worked with Steve Dettelbach. He's a practitioner of law enforcement. He's tried to make communities safer. Let's get somebody in that position so we can deal with gun violence.
I cannot believe we got you for the only 10 minutes you are not on television
That's
today.
right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Frank. We really appreciate it.
Glad we could do it. Stay safe.
All right, you too.
Thanks, Frank.
There we go.